Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to my exploration of the Conjuration tree using the Ordinator Perk overhaul. Okay, so originally I had planned this episode for switching over to the Bound Battle Axe and sort of discussing all the different implications that has. But off camera, while I was putzing around Solitude, selling all my stuff off, Connor was approached by the Ebony Warrior. Now, many people may still not be aware of the Ebony Warrior just because he doesn't appear until your character is level 80, I believe. And even then, it takes him a little while. In fact, I haven't been level 80 with a character in a very, very long time. I was expecting him to show up. I was hoping it would have been on camera, but it wasn't. So I think before we move on with the Bound Battle Axe stuff, I want to fight the Ebony Warrior at Connor's strongest, which for the moment is with his bound sword in one hand, a spell in the other, and minions all around him. So I think we're gonna do that this episode, and if we have time afterwards, maybe we'll get into the Bound Battle Axe stuff. But I don't want to talk about the Bound Battle Axe and look at all the perks and everything that will be affected when we switch over, and then not actually show any gameplay which actually uses it. So okay, I think we're gonna get right into it here. The Ebony Warrior is actually, I don't know if he's the most difficult enemy in the game, but I believe he's the highest level enemy in the game. And there are not really any tricks to beat him other than Fusro dying him off the side of the mountain that you guys decide to fight on. It's not like Harkon, who is also a very tough character, or Mirak, where there is a certain pattern to their attacks and certain stages and forms that the boss goes through. This is just one real tough cookie, and he's just straight up. He's got really high leveled stuff. He has really, by stuff I mean like perks, skills, but he also is very, very well equipped. He's got a full set of ebony arbor that is really well enchanted, an enchanted blade, and I think he actually reflects damage, which is tough. Alright, so without further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? This might be a short episode, or it might be a long one, depending on how well or how poorly this fight goes. Do we have everybody? I feel like we got the Flame Atronach, we got Frosty, Zorro over there, but I don't really want to drag her into this. I mean, if we're being honest, Zora could probably beat the Ebony Warrior by herself, right? It'd be no contest. Let's see, what time is it? 2:52 p.m. Okay, we're gonna have to wait till... We're gonna have to wait till nighttime when we're strongest, I think. We gotta refresh our minions anyway. And we can go ahead and pray to Azura while we're at it. But we need to wait till 7 for that, so let's go ahead and wait 4 hours. That'll put us at 6:54 p.m. We can spend some time summoning some minions, and then by that time we should be able to pray to Azura because it'll be 7. Okay, here we go. It is 7:05 p.m. We were able to summon all the whole gang, and that took up just enough time for us to be able to pray. So we have 2 conjured Daedra, or Daedra Lords there. We have, or Dremora Lords, I'm sorry. We have a Flame Atronach, a Frost Atronach, and a Storm Atronach. So we have the double tankiness, and then we have the elemental damage, all 3 of them. So that's good. So let's go ahead and pray, shall we? Out in the rain. Alright, favor with Azura is all the way up at 155.1%. Let's just take a quick look and see at the boost. Take a quick look at the boost that that is giving us here. Alright, so follower of Azura, foes within 40 feet suffer 15% reduced magic resistance. And they can't absorb spells. I'm guessing that's regardless of what kind of perks they have. That's good. Devotee of Azura, this is the one we're looking at. Perfume of Moonshadow. Activate a person in combat below 46% health based on favor with Azura to paralyze them with 1 health. This might actually come very much in handy against the Ebony Warrior. So once we get them below about half health, we can start trying to activate him if we decide we want to get close enough to try. And that will paralyze him. It doesn't say for how long, but it will also reduce him to 1 health, which at his armor rating is going to be very nice to have because he can be very spongy. And it's only going to cost us 5% favor. I think we were at like 156.1 or 160 something .1. Anyway, we can spare the favor. Okay, so let's get our lantern going here. There it is. I'm probably going to want to resummon my blade once I get there. Ebony Warrior. So yeah, I'm kind of sad I didn't get this caught on camera. But for those who haven't seen it, once you get to level 80 or so, every time you enter a major city, there's a chance for the Ebony Warrior to come find you. And basically he says he's done everything, he's been everywhere, he's conquered every type of enemy. The only thing he hasn't done is beat you. And usually around level 80 or so, you're getting to be a legendary warrior in your own right, so he's just seeking out bigger and bigger challenges. So he requests you to come to this place called the Last Vigil, which he has chosen for sort of a final dramatic battle, sort of a scenic location, very kung fu movie-esque, I would say. Now if I could just get the damn map marker to activate. Here we go. Yes, we will fast travel here. I really don't know how this is going to go. It could go very poorly. Alright, my minions are already pissed off at something. Oh, it was a frost troll. I was like... Oh, yeah, he also has shouts, so we got to be very careful. I forgot about that. He killed us in 1 shout. What the hell? 1 Fusroda and we're dead. Yeah, this may not go so well. I feel like that stupid frost troll ate up all of our distorted shape on that one. And we weren't invulnerable anymore. Alright, well, let's try it again. It might be worth it just to travel to a different place and then walk our way up there so that we can be prepared, but we'll try this another time or two. Where's this Ebony Warrior fella? We should be right around here. Oh yeah, there he is. He's already taken care of the troll. Okay, that helps. Quick save. Here we go. Okay, he's already almost dead. Let's Perfume of Moonshadow. Alright, so I guess once we're ready for him, the toughest boss in the game is not so tough. Even on... Oh god, watch it not be on Legendary. No, it's on... Good. Alright. Alright, so that's pretty good. I mean, that is pretty telling of just how powerful this build can be, I guess. We are at level 88, so that is very high in terms of, you know, a character level. But it's not unobtainable, even in the vanilla game. The soft cap in the original vanilla game before the Dragonborn DLC was level 81 and maybe like 25% progression toward level 82. Dragonborn, the Dragonborn DLC actually introduced legendary skills, which my uncapper is set to disable, so I can't show you how that works. But basically, in the vanilla game now, if you get to level 100 on any skill, you have the choice to reset it back to level 15 or something. And you free up all the perks that you've taken in that tree, and then you can start progression over, which allows you to level indefinitely. So an extra 7 levels after the vanilla cap is totally obtainable. Now, high-level Ordinator characters, especially if you have extra perks like I did, they tend to be stronger than vanilla characters. So there's that. It does help when you have 5 minions. Wow, that guy never came back down, did he? I think I accidentally hit him with something, and my levitation perk, when I aim a shock spell at somebody, affected him, and he floated up. But yeah, when you have 5 minions and you don't actually have to engage an enemy on your own, you know, that helps a lot. Okay, and then we can see just how much, just what kind of gear this guy was rolling. So he was regenerating health 44% faster. He was resisting frost by 55%. His one-handed attacks were doing 38% more damage, which was probably a lot of damage, seeing as how he had an ebony sword and a very high level one-hand skill. I don't know what that was off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a way to look it up in the console, but I don't really want to go through it. It's probably close to 100, if not 100. Yeah, water-breathing helmet. I don't know how that helps him much, but he was also resisting fire. He was absorbing health with every attack that he made. He had all these flawless. Those will help for enchanting. Human heart, very rare ingredient in the vanilla game. If you're using CACO like I am, a little less rare because you start getting the option to harvest them from dead bodies. Same with the Daedra heart. Ebony bow of winter. Target takes 26 points of frost damage to health and stamina. He never got a shot off on us anyway, so he was also resisting shock. I think he already had something like that, so yeah, that was his second piece of enchanted gear that was resisting shock. So our electric, or what's that spell card called? Our sparks spell was probably doing next to nothing on him, but the levitation helped. And then this is also his second piece of enchanted gear, giving him one-handed damage. And he's got a black soul gem. So yeah, what is, I don't know, I guess you could say arguably the toughest enemy in the game. The Ebony Warrior, if not definitely the toughest enemy in the game, at least the vanilla game, unmodded. Of course, you can mod in very tough enemies, but we made short work of him. Not too bad, right? And I think that was only like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. So I think we can move on to the bound battle axe stuff. So let's take a look at that now. Now I know I said we might take on the Boethia quest because the reward for that is heavy armor, and I think I still want to do that, but I want to move on one step at a time. So I don't want to take the bound battle axe and start transitioning to two-handed weapons and take on heavy armor all at the same time. That's just a lot of changes all at once, and I kind of want to take it slow and really understand what each one of these changes is causing in terms of consequences and repercussions in a gameplay. So let's do this. Let's take a look at our spells, and we're going to grab Bound Battle Axe, this guy right here, and we are going to assign that to our hotkey that normally assigns or equips a bound sword. So that is number 4. Alright. Oh, now my Ebony flesh is kicking in. Now, this you can dual cast all day, and since it's a two-handed weapon, it's not going to appear in the wrong hand like we were having with the bound sword. So that's a happy consequence. We can keep it summoned for a lot longer by dual casting it. So there we go. That is our bound battle axe. Ooh, the attack speed on it is a lot less, or is a lot slower. But as we can see, the spell scribe perk is still working very nicely. We got a chain lightning effect that hit our flame thrall for some reason. I've actually noticed that proofing some of my older videos for this series. Well, that's a cool shot of the moon up there, huh? Is this a Kodak moment? I think it is. So I don't know, at some point it seems like, ooh, what's this? Is that a skill book? Destruction skill book that we haven't read yet. That's awesome. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so proofing my previous videos before I release them on YouTube, I've noticed that chain lightning tends to hit some of my minions once in a while. And I don't know why it targets that. I think it's just a small bug at some point. Now if we were dealing a lot more damage with destruction, that would be more of an issue, because then we'd be causing a lot of damage to our minions, which is never good. But it doesn't look like we're hurting them all that much with these chain lightning attacks. Okay, so let's take a look at the damage we're doing. We're only doing 31 damage with our bound battle axe, and that is opposed to... Oh, I gotta get the sword equipped here. And that is opposed to 90 damage with the one-handed bound sword. Oh, now it's going after Tremora Lord. Alright. So, as you can see right away, our damage output is going to take a huge hit. So that's going to hurt for a little while. Overall, we're going to be doing more direct damage, because once we level all the way up to where our one-handed skill is and we flesh out the perk tree for the two-handed weapons, the bound battle axe is going to do more damage than the bound sword. It's just designed that way. Okay, so let's... Oh, there's some lightning going on in the distance. That's kind of cool, right? I feel another Kodak moment coming on, but I don't want this to turn into a screen archery episode. Alright, so let's take a look at the perks now and see exactly what we're dealing with here. So right away, obviously and directly, our two-handed skill has not been touched at all. It's still at the bare minimum 15 that Connor came with when he was born. Now obviously we're going to start to flesh out these perks a little bit more, and with our boosted skill progressions, we should be able to get lots of levels really quickly in two-handed. Assuming that we're able to get close enough to our enemies and land attacks with this slow, clunky thing. So right away we're losing a ton of damage, direct damage, by switching to the bound battle axe. Now the other stuff that we're missing is that I can think of off the top of my head. Alteration. There were a couple of perks in here. The Spellblade perk. Whenever you cast a spell with one hand, you deal 20% more attack damage for 4 seconds. Since we have a two-handed weapon, we're not really going to be casting a whole lot of spells with one hand. In fact, I think that if we are going to choose to cast like a ranged destruction spell, we're probably going to be dual wielding it at this point to get more damage out of it. Or not. I mean, yeah, no, I mean, for 4 seconds, that's really not long enough to, you know, cast a destruction spell with one hand and then cast the bound battle axe and have it summon and be ready to attack with it. I just don't think it's feasible. You might get one shot off with the 20% damage boost, but that's it. So we're losing 20% of damage with our melee weapon right there. Again, Energy Royal. This reduces the armor of nearby enemies within 10 feet by 150 points. So our enemies now within 10 feet are going to have 150 points more armor, assuming they had that much armor to begin with, than we were dealing with before. So this one's still good, especially if we have our, you know, a cloak spell up and running, a destruction cloak spell. Like, I think we're running lightning cloak right now. Because we're specializing in shock damage, but, you know, flame cloak or frost cloak, frost cloak. So whenever you attack with a weapon, this reduces the magic resistance of nearby enemies within 10 feet by 15% for 4 seconds. So we're still going to get the advantage of this, just with lower damage cloak spells instead of the high damage direct destruction spells that we would be casting constantly from our left hand, because we constantly have something like that equipped. So this still helps. 15% more or less, I guess that calculates to about 15% more damage with our cloak spell after we hit someone with our bound battle axe. So that's good. I think that there were also some other one-handed stuff here too. No, okay, I just took a scan through the entire alteration tree, so it's pretty much the Spellblade branch that is going to affect us. So we're losing out on this 20% attack damage because we're not going to have a spell ready to cast. We're going to be losing out on this armor reduction, so further reduction in melee damage, because everybody's going to have 150 points more armor than we're used to them having, and we're still going to get reduced magic resistance, which is going to benefit both our lightning cloak spell and our elemental summons. Okay, so now I'm just going to scan through the rest of these perks here, and when I come across one, I will that is actually affected by taking a two-handed weapon instead of a one-handed one. I will go ahead and cut back to the video and explain it a little bit. Okay, so here's a perk in the enchanting skill tree that affects us now, or that no longer affects us now because of the two-handed weapon that we're wielding. So this one says you are adept at weaving blade and magic. Spells cast with your left hand are 10% more effective if you're wielding a weapon in your right hand, and attacks with a weapon in your right hand deal 10% more damage if you're holding a spell in your left hand. So now we are losing 10% damage from another 10% damage in our weapon and another 10% damage in our magic. So that's not great. So I think that's 30% damage reduction that is indirectly affected by changing to the bound battle axe now. And by indirect, I mean not a two-handed versus one-handed skill or perk related effect. So, okay, so 30% less weapon damage, 150 points more armor, which also affects that. I'm not sure what the math is off the top of my head, but yeah. Okay, so I think that was it for the magic trees and sort of the indirect synergy related perks. So, like I said before, 30% reduced damage in our melee weapon is the big one there. We do have some increased magic resistance now in our enemies and increased physical resistance as well in the form of higher armor ratings in our enemies. So none of that's very good. We're also directly doing less melee damage because our one-handed skill was so high and we had a lot more perks taken in this tree. So let's just go through this now and see what we're missing. Obviously we're missing power attack damage. We're not getting the boost there. And the reduced stamina cost, so we're not going to be able to attack with Spell Scribe as often because we're not going to be doing as many power attacks per battle because it's going to be more expensive in terms of stamina. We're not getting this 50% damage boost or critical damage per level. We're not getting reduced enemy attack damage for by 20% for 3 seconds every time we hit somebody. So enemies are going to be stronger. We're going to be weaker. Unblocked regular attacks with sword increase the damage of your power attacks against the... Okay, so 50% damage boost for power attacks after you hit with a regular attack. That was huge. We use that all the time. We're not going to get to take advantage of that anymore. Forward power attack, we never really used that all that often. It just caused bleed damage. And then a bleeding target below 25% health took a lot more damage. It's nice to have, but I just never saw us using it all that much. Sideways power attacks, I don't think we ever used this thing. It's just so slow, and that 6 foot knockback just really wasn't worth it. This one, I don't remember how often I used this. I don't remember doing a whole lot of just repeated standing power attacks. Although it did have the capacity for dealing a lot of damage. The potential for huge damage was there. Slaying an enemy under the effect of Class of Champions restores 100 points of stamina. So again, we're not getting the benefit of all the stamina boosts that we were getting. And of course this extra damage boost for defeating or winning battles with 4 or more humanoid or animals against us, which we still, I don't think, have fulfilled. That is a potential 20% boost that we're not getting as well by switching to two-handed. Now, we are gaining some things. We will be gaining more. We'll go ahead and take the perks now because we have them. So I think that gave us 25% damage boost. We'll get that up to 50% as soon as we have the skill to take the perk. And then with the axe, I believe it's bleed like a dog. So we're going to be doing a lot of bleed damage over time, which is great. When the bleeding stops, they take damage equal to 20% of the health they lost while bleeding. So that's an extra damage boost once they stop, if they make it that long. Power attacks with a battle axe are going to ignore 25% armor, so that will help make up for the loss of that 150 points of armor reduction that we're not getting through the Spellblade perk branch over in the alteration tree. So that's gonna, and it's probably gonna be upwards of 50% once we take the second rank of that too. So that helps. Forward power attacks with a battle axe will execute targets below 30% health, delivering a critical strike that deals 20 times critical damage. So basically, doesn't matter how big or tough or how much health the enemy has. If we get them to 30% of their health pool and we do a forward power attack, they're gonna die, which is pretty nice to have as well. And especially if our minions are drawing aggro from these enemies, we should have some pretty good opportunities for landing this big slow forward power attack. We should be able to find our spots for that pretty well. Sideways power attack, not a huge fan of it, but it does hit multiple enemies and deals 20% more damage for each enemy hit within 8 feet. So that could potentially do a lot of damage. It's very situational though. You have to have a lot of enemies grouped up all in the same spot to kind of take advantage of this. I don't know how often we're going to be using it, but we have to take it anyway to get to the next one. So a standing power attack with a battle axe deals bonus damage of equal to 15% of a target's current health. That's pretty good. That's bonus damage, so it's not just a straight up 15%. You get the full damage from the power attack, the direct damage from the power attack, plus 15% of the target's current health. So this will work well at the beginning of a battle, and we're going to be knocking down enemies' health pools really quickly with this thing. Especially considering Spell Scribe, which we still get to take advantage of. Standing power attacks will also do the chain lightning or whatever else we decide to hook up to that. Bashing with a battle axe to interrupt an attack before it hits allows you to follow up with a power attack within 2 seconds to knock them to the ground. This is great. So that's another benefit that we're going to get from taking our two-handed weapon over our one-handed one and having a spell in the left hand, is that we have access to block and bashing now. Bashing is really important for a two-handed warrior, because it is your fastest attack. It is much faster than just a regular old attack by hitting the attack button on the mouse or the attack trigger, the attack button on the controller. Doing a bash is much quicker. It's much safer if you miss. You're not locked in that animation for as long. And if you hit it just right, it has a great chance of causing a stagger. You can follow this up with a standing power attack. Usually the enemy doesn't have time. If you bash them and then do a power attack right away, they don't have time to bash you out of your power attack. They might have time to block, but a power attack from a two-handed weapon will go straight through a block. So that's good. This should take them off their feet, not just cause a stagger, but cause a knockdown, which is awesome, especially when you have 5 minions, spraying them with elemental damage the entire time. Sitting ducks. Okay, and this is sort of the ultimate perk for two-handed that we're going for here. In combat, two-handed weapons deal 5% more damage for each humanoid or animal you have slain in the previous battle, up to 40%. So this isn't a permanent boost like the one-handed one. It's just, it changes based on how many people you killed in the previous battle, up to 40%. So 40% damage increase is huge, even if it's temporary. Okay, and then there was also this power attack branch here that we can take, which we probably will, because we're going to be doing power attacks a lot for Spellscribe. So this just does more damage per point of stamina, basically, plus a 15% bonus, and it unlocks decapitations, which is always fun. Two-handed sprinting power attack that deals up to 50% more damage and critical damage to a target above half health. So this is a great way to open battle. Especially using distorted shape, we will be able to sprint right in for free. We just got to make sure that we hit with that long, slow attack. The higher its remaining health percentage, the more damage and critical damage is dealt. Yeah, so great opening attack we'll definitely be taking this and making full use of it with our distorted shape. Take half damage from enemy attacks while power attacking with a two-handed weapon. That's nice. Gives us a much needed defense, especially since power attacks with a two-handed weapon are much slower, and we're going to be throwing them out a lot because of Spell Scribe. It helps to take less damage, for sure. In combat, swinging a two-handed weapon has a 10% chance to increase attack speed by 175% for 3 seconds. This is pretty cool. It kind of throws your character into a barbaric frenzy, I would say, and he just starts swinging that two-handed weapon like crazy for a few seconds. This is nice to have. You can get off, the attack speed is usually enough that you can probably get a good 2 or 3 power attacks in that 3 seconds. So, very nice. Enter the arena. Massacre always activates when you take your first two-handed swing in combat. This effect has a 30-second cooldown. So, this is nice because instead of getting a 10% chance to activate, you get a 100% chance every time you start a new battle. So definitely taking that one. And then in combat, swinging a two-handed weapon has a 4% chance to activate your currently equipped power. This could be awesome too. We'll have to take a look at the powers that we have that we can hook up to this. I think that there is a perk in the alteration skill tree that allows you to turn a spell into a minor power that you can activate once per day. But with this perk, it's not just once per day. If it activates in this 4% chance, it doesn't use it up for the day. So that's awesome. We'll be taking that one too. Just gotta make sure we have a power that we can use it for. What else do we have? Reduce stamina cost of power attacks, definitely. Death or Glory. 200 power attacks deal up to 100% more damage below half health. The damage bonus increases as your health decreases. Okay, so this is if you are below half health, which I'm hoping will happen very rarely, if ever. So this probably isn't that important. But what do we have over here? After performing 2 or more consecutive two-handed power attacks in combat, your next two-handed regular attack manifests a spirit wolf for 30 seconds that deals 15 bonus damage for each power attack. Okay, so this one is going to cause us to pay a little bit more attention because we want to be landing consecutive power attacks, as many as we can, and then hit with a regular attack, which then activates a separate conjuration in that spirit wolf. Now these spirit wolves can be kind of finicky. Sometimes if you already have a summon, it will eat one of them. It may count as a summon. I know that the Lunar Familiar from the Lady Stone does count as a summon because we ran into that at the very beginning of this series. So I would be afraid of the spirit wolf disabling one of our other summons that we have. So I'll probably, man, you know what? If it works, it's great. But if it doesn't, it's gonna kind of break the build for a while. So it's kind of risky, right? I want to test it to see what it does, but I also don't want to break the character. All right, so we have all that. I might just stop at Trained Fighter and use the perks for something else. We also have block, so there's a lot of great stuff in bashing here that has a lot of different effects, but I don't want to run through a whole other skill tree at this point. I want to do some gameplay before this episode is up. So yeah, let's get to it, shall we? I wonder, I think I can hook Bound Battle Axe up to Okado's Recital, because I think the only issue that we had with the Bound Sword in Okado's Recital was that it unequipped the spell in our left hand, and as soon as we tried to re-equip it, it unequipped the or it dismissed the bound sword in our right hand, so it just wasn't worth the trouble. But if we're using a two-handed weapon, it should be fine. I just don't want to use up the slots. I like what I got going on there. I like how it's leveling things up right now. So until we have to change that, we'll probably keep it. Now, how much damage are we doing after that 20% or 25%? 39. So I think we went from 33 to 39. We really need to get this skill level up. Okay, so let's go do something. Oh, you know what? I need to re-enchant some gear, too. I had my gear set to fortify one-handed on a couple pieces, so we could set that to fortify two-handed for a couple pieces, and that'll help out a lot. We don't have to do that right this second, but let's go ahead and try to kill a giant. I know that's a big ask for a 15 skill two-handed warrior at this point, but we do have a lot going for us otherwise that I think our minions can pick up the slack for us. I hope. Okay, we got the whole band, and I have a an invisible battle axe that I can't swing or do anything with, so that's good. Let's try that again. Still? Alright, something's bugged out here. Let's do a quick save and a quick load. There we go. I don't know what happened there. Just the equip script had stalled. Excuse me. Alright guys, you ready to go? I didn't even get a single lick in there. My minions destroyed him before I could. So I didn't even get to level up my two-handed skill. Let's reload that. I don't see any other enemies here. Alright, you big dumb bozo. There we go. Now we leveled up two-handed 4 times. Oh. We leveled up one-handed 6 times. Excellent. I'll take all of it. Okay. So maybe we can make this work after all. Alright, so we're gonna have to think of some other things to do. One more thing on my list that I had for this episode is that, again, proofing older videos before I release them on YouTube. I realized that I forgot to follow up with Urag about the Shalador's writings. I know we asked him right after we dropped off the writings before he had a chance to interpret them. So let's go see what he has to say about them now, shall we? Oh, there he is right there.
May I help?
No.
One of the few things
You intercepted me. Okay.
in touch with the rest of Skyrim.
Have you made any progress translating Shalador's work?
We were able to figure out the last text you brought in. I thought the least I could do is pass the knowledge along.
Shalador's insights on restoration, huh? Oh, is there any college business I
There
can
are more
assist with?
books to be recovered and secured in the Arcanium.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. I wrote down the last place I'd heard about. Don't get killed. Until next time.
Okay, cool. So where is this at now? Oh, we got a lot of Radiant stuff that we can do still, too. Okay. Let's take a look at what these Shalador's writings things were all about here. How am I not seeing them? I saw in the upper left-hand corner in the activity log up there that it did give us 3 of something. Oh, here we go. Shalador's Insights on Restoration. Oh, look at that. You have gained a large amount of knowledge on conjuration spells. Okay, so... Conjuration spells. Okay, I see what's going on here. So, these actually level up our restoration skill, which is great. But it also is a spell research item, which allows us to increase our knowledge on certain spell schools in order to write theses on... Theses, not feces. Get your minds out of the gutter, people. Theses on certain spell schools, and you can use those to write new spells that you haven't learned yet. We're not going to be using that aspect of it in this series. Maybe in another roleplay series not too long down the line. But for now, we will gladly take the restoration skill progression for sure. That's a cool trick he's got where he's able to look at that piece of paper, holding it below his actual hands. We also did get a level up, so we're definitely going to be taking that too. I don't know why this keeps taking me back to the food menu. Now the Shalador's Insights... I don't know if they work the same way in the vanilla game. I really don't. I'm sorry, I don't remember. In terms of just increasing your skill progression in certain spell schools. And then that the knowledge in these spell schools for spell research is just tacked on to the vanilla mechanic through that mod, or if there's something else going on there. So your mileage may vary on this stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're doing now. I feel like we can make a lot of use of stamina at this point, just because for now two-handed is going to be expensive in terms of power attacks, but we'll take that perk. I don't think we can take anything else just yet. But we want this tree here, so we're looking for skill level 30 for the next perk there. Skill level 40 for decapitations and power attack damage. We have the stamina cost reduction there. And all the way up to 60 there. Okay, so we have quite a bit to do in two-handed. Block, we're up to 32. Very close on that. We should be getting more levels. I hope we get more levels in this, because I would like to take more in the bashing branch here. But we can't take another one until 40. I really don't feel the need to take Poke the Dragon or Apocalypse Proof or any of this stuff, because that all pretty much has to do with timed blocking and retaliation. I don't see us doing a whole lot of actual blocking, because if we're playing right, enemies will not be attacking us all that much. They will be attacking our minions instead. But I do want to access better bashing abilities. I got lost there for a second. Sorry about that. We do have 2 more perks that we can take, but I'm just going to bank them, because right now the only 2 things that we need help in is two-handed and block, and we're kind of stuck in both of them. But we'll be unlocking perks that we can take very shortly with both of those. So I'm going to want to have those perks. Alright, so I think that just about does it for this episode. We took the Bound Battle Axe, and we'll be using that going forward. It does seem that we're still viable on Legendary, mainly due to our summons here. As we saw, they took out a giant all by themselves, no problem whatsoever, before we could even get one lick in with our Bound Battle Axe. So in order to level up two-handed, we're going to have to really kind of get into the fray more than I would like to at this difficulty level. But we'll see how it goes. It should be fun. I think going forward we can take on these Radiant quests. I think it also might be a good idea to join the Companions to get access to Vilcus as a Master Level two-handed trainer, so that we can take skill leveling there and get an extra 5 points of two-handed, 5 levels of two-handed rather, with every level. That will just help speed the progression a lot more there. And there's also Nyada's Stone Arm, which I believe is an expert level block trainer that we can take advantage of there too once we get through the two-handed stuff. Alright, well, I think that's it. I'm looking forward to continuing this and sharing this adventure with you all. And until next time, take care.